ARK episode 4. It is time to ARK at the moon.
Woo! ARK time!
Get it? ARK at the moon. First of all, overall impressions of this episode. Like when I watched it and I immediately texted you guys, I was like, oh my God, that was actually good. That episode was actually good. I thought it was the best one yet. It had no slap in the face, egregious science violations other than just the regular ones with their entire existence in the show itself.
That, I think, is because it was mostly a ship episode. That very little happened outside, so they didn't have to violate physics.
And they answered a lot of questions and got a lot of shit resolved.
Yes.
And we've questioned about it treading into dangerous grounds if it actually starts getting better, because it might start ascending through the ranks of mediocrity instead of being just hilariously bad.
I'm actually still in.
Oh, I'm in. I thought this episode, I guess this episode proved us wrong. If it does start getting good, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing, because this episode I thought it was pretty good. And
yeah, it's like it's trying really hard and you're kind of cheering for it, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're at the Special Olympics and there's like this kid who's like just he's fallen down like 3 times in the 100-yard dash, and he keeps getting up and going, and you're just cheering your ass off, you know, like Rudy.
You can do it, Corky.
Yeah, I think the show is quirky. So they just dive right into Garnet. Oh, and just from editing our last video, that trivia helped us so much, because I know everyone's name now. Most people's names.
It really did, and I learned a new one this time.
Who'd you get?
The security chief, Felix.
He's Strickland.
Felix is his first name.
The reason why I can remember who he is I heard it, and then I thought, wow, he's really strict.
Oh.
Now in my head, he's Strickland.
I see him, and I think the odd couple, Felix.
So, opening scene, Garnet is confronted. Can we have the bridge? And everybody, don't you hate when people say, can we have the room? And you're like, fuck you.
Yeah, right.
But you're my boss, so all right, I'll just...
Who do you think you are? I'm doing work here.
We're flying an ARK, and you're kicking everybody up.
They should all get up, and out the window, the ship should have started to drift sideways or something.
They confront Garnet.
I'm putting you under house arrest.
It's not an android. No, it's not from the future. It's a clone.
I'm your clone. Who are you? My clone. And who am I? You're not you.
I'm a clone. I'm not an android.
Hey, who's he?
I'm your twin brother.
It's a clone. Decent explanation. I'm a little disappointed that she's not an android, because we invested in that, you know?
Right.
There's no proof that any of this backstory is true other than what Garnet's saying to Strickland. She could have just made the whole thing up.
Well, she did have her travel records that showed her in London on the day of the bar fight.
It didn't show her in London. It showed one of them in London.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. The fact that Strickland so far has been so competent, this episode, she gives her explanation. He's like, all right, I'm satisfied. Let her go. No! What if she's Denise?
Yeah, she's clearly killed her other sister.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly.
Guaranteed that happened. She's not the good one. She's the bad one. That's going to come out in a few episodes. Strickland really should have been all over that.
Mm-hmm. The only question is, does Garnet even know?
Maybe there's some weird, like, Manchurian candidate shit going on.
Yeah. What if they overlaid the original personality with the evil one underneath?
Plus, it could be like Usual Suspects Kaiser Soze shit, where she's just like Kevin Spacey spinning a whole... Wait, can you say Kevin Spacey on YouTube nowadays?
I think you've just been canceled.
She could have just made the whole thing up. I mean, that's not what happened. Obviously, the clone thing did happen just because they're going to pull the big gotcha on, it's Denise. It's Denise Garnet. It's not Karen or Sharon. What we decided her name was? Joan, Karen?
Joan, because Joan of Arc. Yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be the season cliffhanger, is that, oh, it's been Denise all along.
And just the whole time that he's trying to be all efficient and security officer-like and professional, he's like, you know, I need you to come with me. And meanwhile, you got like Lieutenant Douche. He's like, yeah, get her. Just fucking get on the captain now.
Yeah.
He's such a fucking bitch. And then Strickland, I think he's walking to the interrogation, and he has that whole like...
Yeah, he's hearing ghost babies.
First thought was, he's actually getting a story, because a few people have gotten stories, and, you know, now it's time for him.
Right.
he's having like PTSD or something. He's freaking out.
Or he's haunted by a ghost baby. I was much more excited by that prospect.
Yeah, it's like all those movies that have been so successful, like the I don't even know what they call them. What are all those scary movies that teenagers watch nowadays, like The Happening and or was that Shyamalan?
I don't think anybody watched
that. That was Shyamalan. The Haunting, those movies that somehow are managing to do well. It was like that. It's like, oh my God, there's like a ghost baby coming after him. Oh, so that was cool. Then they cut to Angus.
Hello, Peter Potato. Olivia Onion. Katie Cabbage. Hey, you look awful.
I was worried that Angus was actually going to fuck his plants.
You wait for it to grow into a plant, and then you fuck the plant.
Which, we're not allowed to judge if that's what he wants to do.
That's true.
That's perfectly acceptable.
Bryce was thinking that too when he interrupted him.
Does that make him like a vegophile or something?
He's not a vegophile. He's a vegophile. They lightly dusted and kept alive the alien crystal.
We need you to analyze it. See if you can use it to figure out exactly what hit the ship.
Garnet is going to con a way out of this. She'll take over again, and then we'll have a murderer running the ARK. She is dangerous.
As soon as he started saying, like, oh, okay, Douche is hallucinating.
Uh-huh.
We need Garnet out of the picture. Permanently.
Was or was not your first thought, like, oh, they're doing this Star Trek trope?
Yeah, they've had this episode on Next Generation several times.
They had the original.
Oh, yeah.
And then they did it on Next Generation at least, twice? The most notable one was the first time because it had Wesley Crusher going all apeshit. They did it on Stargate Atlantis.
I wanted to see McCoy chasing a guy in a rabbit suit around.
At any moment, I was expecting a shirtless Sulu to come through with a rapier.
I was looking for Denise Crosby in that outfit.
Yeah, trying to get with all the robots on the ship.
Hell yeah.
She'd sniff out who the android was. I was disappointed. I was like, oh, fuck, they're doing this. No. The best thing is that they quickly disabused my, oh, fuck, not this trope. Because unlike every other time I've ever seen it done in any sci-fi show at all, they acted normal. In other words, they quickly realized what was happening, talked to each other about it, didn't hide it, and the whole rest of the episode was just like,
I've been hallucinating, Dr. Hall. He's standing beside us.
they acted like normal people.
Exactly. Are you hallucinating too? Oh, shit. We all are. Oh, my God.
In order for most of those plots to happen in those old sci-fi shows, everybody had to keep it secret. I'm losing control. I can't tell anyone. But we've acknowledged those hallucinations, but still I can't tell anyone.
The only one who really kept his mouth shut was Douchebag Lane.
Yeah, his hallucinations really went in a weird direction.
Yeah, that tells you a little about him.
It was also by virtue of the A-plot with the hallucinations. It was a very sexy episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there were a couple of times.
Bryce had this S&M tied-up fantasy with the Indian doctor. And then Eva had her whole husband come back. She was in the shower. You know that if anybody walked into that communal shower, she would have been like sitting on the floor masturbating. At least that was my thought. Oh, Angus.
Angus, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever actually liked Garnet a little bit.
Phantom Garnet was kind of hot.
I like at the very end how the whole resolution to Angus's little dream was the doctor calls him out on his nerd boner.
Our hallucinations are tied to actual fears or fantasies. So, why were you hallucinating about Lieutenant Garnett?
Oh, no reason. I mean...
Big gay Strickland.
There's no way they could be here. I left my husband and daughter behind on Earth.
Big gay sex officer. Sec officer.
That explains your reaction in the showers when we met.
Were you surprised with A, the gay reveal, and B, that he was, in fact, married to a butler?
He's not like a big effeminate flaming. He's actually kind of my favorite character. So he's got a husband and a kid. That's cool. I like the way they pulled that off because I like gays who you can't tell they're gay until, they tell you.
It actually kind of fits with his character.
Take nowadays culture, like 98% of the gay people out there make sure that's the first word or thing you know about them out of their mouth within like maybe 3 seconds, And the fact that he doesn't identify himself as, I'm a gay security officer. He doesn't do that. And when I saw the hallucination of the husband, big, tall, bald dude wearing a tux with a fucking mustache. Goddamn.
Oh, yeah, he had a Freddie Mercury stash, man.
Yeah, I'm like, why is Strickland married to the leather daddy from the Village People? Go back and watch Police Academy, and every time they walk into the Blue Oyster Club, that dude's there. That guy's there. I guess our favorite security officer has a type.
I guess.
He's a classic. He's a traditionalist. It didn't make it into any of our previous recordings. I asked it last week as a trivia question, but it didn't really fit. But Milfy XO, that was the biggest revelation of all.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That was huge when that happened. And they didn't even focus on it, really. It just kind of happened.
XO's like probably hitting 40. And this guy's obviously 20. She was Cougar XOing it up or what?
Well, she was, but now it turns out...
Yeah, the big revelation.
That she was actually manipulating him.
There's some kind of evil cult that's infiltrated the ship.
Which tells me a few things already. The fact that they've hinted that there's some sort of evil counter-organization that's working against the mission tells me a few things. Number one, Waste Disposal Kid, he killed the prisoner.
Waste Disposal Kid is the guy who had the big moral conundrum. The guy that was banging XO. Is that what you're saying?
He killed because he's part of this organization, and there's several other members, and they're working to some sort of goal that we have not been apprised of yet. But it's counter to the actual mission specifics.
All right, I'm locking you in on that. He's the one that did the throat slashing of Jared.
He totally is. They haven't framed him as a suspect in the show yet, which also is another indicator, because anyone they've pointed to is an obvious suspect. I mean, they want us to think it's Eva now.
Isn't he a little too innocent and still has quite a few morals to do something that brutal? And plus,
well,
at whose insistence or direction? He took his own action to do it?
Perhaps he did. Yes, perhaps he has that order. Perhaps there's somebody else who's in charge of him.
Well, I think they'd definitely be compartmentalized into cells where he probably does not know anyone else on the ship, although he has his suspicions there are more on the ship.
I would also bet you he knows that the captain is really Denise.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the ones behind that little switch.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever this organization is.
See how much was going on this episode? They introduced so much freaking intrigue, especially with that scene. That scene was so good.
They've killed the prisoner, pulled the captain switcheroo, and this is all some sort of big thing to cut a deal with these weird crystal aliens or something.
Do you think Milfy Cougar XO used the pussy to get other people recruited, or was it just on him?
I think she's throwing it all around. I think we're going to find out several other people were banging her on the side.
That'll be an awkward scene. That'll be like, you. When they find out they're all Eskimo brothers. I was convinced, even from the first episode, that their opening catastrophe that put them in this situation was sabotaged by somebody. I thought of Jake Busey's weird cult in Contact, where they're all religious extremists who want to destroy the project, something like that, or a competing ARK situation. I don't know. There's something going on.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's some sort of secret government group that knows of the existence of these aliens, and that's their hidden mission.
I made the statement that it's an evil cult. That was an assumption on my part, only because only an evil cult would look at the entire crew and be like, yeah, we need to recruit Lieutenant Lane, douchebag Lane. Only an evil cult will go after somebody so passive-aggressive and so obviously unsuited to command.
They want somebody they can manipulate, and he might as well be wearing a sign, control me.
That's true. He's such an open, gaping wound of hurt pride that he'd be easy really just
You could goad him into doing whatever the hell you wanted.
Poor Lane. He was going to do it, too. He was totally going to...
Oh, he's ready. He's looking for an excuse.
The whole it's a clone revelation. Another thing I noticed is that one of the clones was mixed with tardigrade DNA. And my first thought...
Yes.
My first thought was, no, Star Trek Discovery has fucking invaded.
Yeah, we had to stop that for laughing for 5 full minutes about that, because tardigrades, they're ripping off the worst Star Trek.
So she's part giant space weevil or whatever. The final big cliffhanger.
this element is not on the periodic table.
So, what?
Could have been a weapon.
We're the only people in history to go this far in space.
I didn't say people.
They're going there. They're taking the show alien element, alien shit.
Think they're going to meet aliens?
I don't know. I think if they are, it'll be season 2, and I don't know if there's going to be a season 2. So I don't know. Maybe not.
It was a really excellent episode. I really loved this episode.
So you are in agreement, best yet?
Oh, best yet. Easily best yet. They managed to stumble their way through most of it without screwing with the laws of physics, which that's a big bonus.
We started out just like salivating at the fact that we had a new show to fuck with and hate on. But yeah, I think this show's really kind of wormed its way into our hearts.
Yes.
More so this episode than any other. Damn it.
Damn you, Ark. Why do you have to be so sexy?
I know.
This is like that movie where the jock goes out with the nerd girl because he's like in a contest or something to bring like the worst date, but then he ends up falling in love with her.
It's like Freddie Prinze Jr. is on screen in front of us right now.
Oh no, they're playing Kiss Me.
No.